Hey, it's Greg Milby, community storyteller for Kentucky's Heartland, and I am joined today by Chief Jeremy Thompson with Elizabethtown Police Department. And Chief reached out to me and wanted to do a video and really just kind of talk about where we are in the Heartland in regards to law enforcement. And honestly, Chief, you kind of wanted to share your heart a little bit, and that's what Kentucky's Heartland is all about: is giving sharing the stories, people, and events that are affecting our community. So, uh, first of all, thanks for spending some time with me here. But talk about your heart and where we are with the Elizabethtown Police Department.
Well, again, Greg, thank you for allowing me a few minutes of your time and to push out this message. I'm not on social media, so it is difficult sometimes to get out a message, especially something that, as you very well pointed out, it's from my heart. I've watched what's going on around us, not in our community right now, but I see it, and it does. It's troubling. It's troubling to see the injustices that are occurring in cities around us. It's troubling to see people that wear a badge tarnish that badge for the rest of us. But it's also troubling to see that badge almost be demonized or villainized because of one, arguably a couple bad apples across the nation. And I thought, it's probably time in my role to be a little bit more proactive, to reach out to our community and say, you know what, we are different. I've been in this position for a little over a year now, and a message that I have been consistent with is that the community of E-Town, the city of E-Town, is different. It's different for positive reasons. And we've seen that here in recent weeks with protests that have been hosted in the city limits. We've had great dialogue with members of our community, with the organizers of these events, and we have kept those events in large part because of dialogue and cooperation peaceful. You look around us, and that's escaped a lot of these jurisdictions. And I don't know necessarily why, and I can't really get into the weeds with other cities, but I wanted to just kind of share my heart with where we are now, where we are as a department, and then just tell people, from me to our community, thank you for doing it right. It makes our job easier. It makes our job easier to protect our citizens when there's a sense of cooperation. And it doesn't always mean agreement. At the end of the day, we may agree to disagree on certain things, certain topics. And that's not saying that we necessarily do right now, because I've seen the same disturbing videos that everyone else has. But if we do disagree, it doesn't have to turn to violence. It doesn't have to turn to criminal activity. And we've been very fortunate that the members of our community, our mayor's office, our city council, the support that we see throughout this community to this department is great. And I think that's what helps us make E-Town unique.
As somebody that knows a lot of you personally, whether I've spent time running with you or just hanging out, cracking jokes on each other, or whatever we've done, uh, I know your heart, and I know you wear a lot of that on your sleeve because you guys live here, you eat here, you sleep here, and you breathe here. Why was it so important for both you and Mayor Gregory to make an appearance at those protests a couple of weeks ago?
Well, Mayor Gregory and I talked about it beforehand, and we just felt like the most important thing to show support for our community, regardless of the cause in general, but to show support, how do you do that and send the strongest message? And being there, to me, speaks more volumes than any words you can say, because we've all, those of us who are a little seasoned in life, have heard actions speak louder than words. So I can tell you that I support you. I can tell you that I'd like the protest to be peaceful. But if I'm out there and I'm participating in providing security for the protesters to make sure that they are able to protest peacefully, if we have conversations leading up to those events, and let those organizers know we're not here to be an adversarial role for you. We're here to protect you from counter protesters. Now, at the same time, we may have to allow counter protesters to be at that event, but we can keep them separate so that each person, each party there can safely get their message out. So how do you do that? Well, the first step is to be there, and being there, I think, is the most important thing you can do in a leadership position, to show people that their message is important, their cause is important, and how can we help them and be there for them.
And very well said. And I know it meant a lot to the organizers of the protest that you guys were there, first and foremost early,
Mhm.
and had a conversation with them. And I think that set the tone. And it really, from someone on the outside, I think it really put the importance on that protest for them. And I appreciate you guys doing that. Shifting a little bit, talk about the officers, talk about the agency a little bit. How's the morale? Because with everything going on around the country, Elizabethtown is different. You know, it's a different community. How's the morale of the officers?
Our folks are holding up very well, and in large part because of the overwhelming support that we continue to receive from our community. And it's not just businesses. Individuals are bringing food down here. They're bringing cards. Kids are dropping off cards talking about how they support our police department, how they love our public servants, and those are the things that reassure our folks down here that they have that support that is lacking in other places. But even besides um, those tangible things that people bring us and drop off, the fact that we aren't having those same problems in places, some of them very near to us, show that our community, they respect each other. They respect each other's opinions because let's not kid ourselves. Not everybody in the city of E-Town agrees on this on these issues going around, but they've been able to have dialogue, have conversations, whether it be on social media platforms or over a cup of coffee somewhere, and we've escaped in large part all of these problems we're seeing elsewhere. And that's not just the police department, that's our community. So the fact that we aren't on the front lines holding riot shields, having things hurled at us, um, having to endure some of the things that our counterparts and law enforcement around us are doing, that helps keep morale higher, because it's going to be a lot more difficult in other places to keep morale high when day in and day out they're having insults hurled at them, which is the easier thing, but rocks, bottles, and bricks, sometimes unfortunately even bullets, when those things are coming at you, it's hard to suit up and do that day in and day out when you feel that unappreciated. And I've done it in other agencies throughout my career, but here in E-Town, fortunately, again, we're not having those problems.
All right. Well, appreciate you reaching out and wanting to share a word because I know you, and I think most people in this community that have met you know your heart and know who you are, and what you're about. So, thank you. And do you have anything else you want to add?
I just one more thank you to the city of Elizabethtown, the members of our community that have participated in dialogue, whether it be formally at the protest. We've had some meetings at City Hall with some community leaders, some in the minority groups, some that were very youthful, up and coming leaders in this community. And I don't want to go into names because I don't want to embarrass them, and I certainly would hate to leave someone out. But we have some very strong future leaders of our community that I've spoken to, and I've encouraged them. Come take part in some of the community events. Obviously, COVID has put a little bit of a damper on what we're doing as a department with our citizens police academies and our open houses and cops and bobbers. A lot of these events that we do as a department, we've had to put on hold, and we understand that. But we want the community to know also that as soon as we can do those things again safely, we're going to get right back in the mix, side by side with you, talking with you. But I encourage those young leaders that have not been able, whether they weren't aware of them or just not able to dedicate that time, to please come down here and see your department. And I would encourage that to anyone. If you've got questions, stop by, give us a call. I'll be glad to meet with you, just to say, hey, do some introductions. I've been here a year, but by no means have I been able to meet everybody around. But we are members of this community, as you pointed out earlier. We want to do our part on the official side. We want to do our part on the off-duty side. So we'll walk hand in hand with you. We can all do this together. And I don't say that in a disingenuous way. If we all have skin in this game and we all play a role in our community, we're all better served and we'll have a better outcome.
All right, he's Jeremy Thompson, Chief Jeremy Thompson with the Elizabethtown Police Department. Chief, thanks for the time, and I
Thank
will
you.
encourage people definitely to take part in the Citizens Police Academy, because that is definitely something that I would encourage them to do as somebody that's taken in the past. All
Thank you.
right, Chief, we'll talk again soon, buddy.
All right. Take care.